Basketball is back, and we have preseason polls to talk about because I guess the Big 12 is doing preseason coaches polls again.
Welcome on in, everybody, to the AZ Wildcats podcast, coming to you live from our friends over at Studio K, presented by Circle K. And Kevin Thomas, my guy, I am Damon Farrell. We are the AZ Wildcats pod, and we got a lot to talk about today. Of course, the Arizona Wildcats are gearing up to play a very pivotal football game on Saturday. We're going to sneak a little bit of football talk in, but guys, I would be lying to you if I didn't just come off the top and tell you what happened. Kevin walked in the studio today, pointed a gun at me and said, "We are talking basketball." And I said, "Oh, calm down there, buddy. It's okay. Sure, we can talk basketball." And I know you guys can't really tell where his hands are, but still kind of being pointed over here in my direction. So we are in fact going to be talking about the Big 12 preseason basketball poll and where Arizona falls on that. Our thoughts on Arizona's ranking and I guess just kind of our thoughts on Arizona's chances to potentially finish higher, even lower than that, and just kind of evaluate it from that standpoint. But Kevin, first off, how are we doing? Day after an off day, are we rested? Are we ready to go?
Was it a real gun? No. Was it a Nerf gun? Absolutely. But preseason basketball is back, and for that reason, I could not be doing any better if I tried. Damon, last night, my eyes were absolutely glued, like many other sickos out there, to Oklahoma State versus Auburn as the Big 12 foes for Arizona get it done in a preseason matchup. And I'm excited to talk about not only Arizona's preseason matchups upcoming, but just in general, basketball is back. Hoops are here. Hoops is here. I'm excited for all of that, Damon, as we have exhibition basketball for Arizona literally in 2 days. Not even 2 days. It could have been against Mexico, but we'll get to that later.
As you mentioned, Kevin, Oklahoma State does beat Auburn, of course, who is on both teams on Arizona's schedule, correct? And
yeah.
So, Kevin was kind of doing a little preseason scouting, maybe trying to get a look at two teams that might be Arizona's opponents. And Bruce Pearl's son, Steve, takes over the program about 2 weeks ago. Because you always want to change coaches about a month before the season starts. And, of course, you always want your coach's son to be the next coach in waiting. But takes an L, night one, against a team that is not really all that great. I mean, I know Oklahoma State probably figures to be a lot better than they were last year. They were a dumpster fire last year. And we talked about it in the offseason. Like, they made some pretty decent additions to their squad, I think, in my opinion. But Auburn's supposed to be a ranked high-caliber basketball team, and losing night one in OT doesn't look good. So, Kevin, I guess we'll start there. Like, just kind of, what did you see from yesterday? I mean, you get your toes wet watching some hoops and
shins, knees, thighs, everything was wet. But listen, that is exactly how, Damon, the Arizona scout. Like, that is how I got out of, that's how I got into watching this game and out of trouble with the girlfriend. I said, I know it's just preseason, but Arizona plays both these teams. I got to be abreast as to what is happening. And
Sorry,
sure, the Blues play after, and maybe I watched the first 2 periods of that one before I turned it off. But
bad game.
Oh, 7-2 drubbing, maybe 7-3. But either way, point being, you're right. Oklahoma State did make some very important changes, and it seems to be improving their status in the Big 12 Conference. Are we going to read too much into that preseason game? No. Tahad Pettiford played absolutely awful in that one. He shot 4 for 16. He did have a big 3 down the stretch to help force overtime, but he was not good in this one. And Oklahoma State had 3 starters not getting a lot of minutes in this one, Damon. It was a depleted Oklahoma State squad that was able to get it done against a really high preseason ranked Auburn team. You mentioned Bruce Pearl. He was actually in attendance for this one. He was sitting courtside, touching wood, but not on the bench side. He was on the other side, sitting next to, I think, SEC commissioner for that one as well. So it was a very, very good game. I know that it's just preseason basketball, but if you go back and watch this game, it's on YouTube. You can do it. The intensity was there. It was like Oklahoma State was trying to make it into the tournament last night. That is how they were playing. Anthony Roy absolutely impressed everybody that was watching this one. 28 points, 10 for 20 from the field, 5 for 10 from 3 for Anthony Roy in 42 minutes, including overtime. You also had Isaiah Coleman putting a lot of people on watch with his 36 minutes. He scores 28 on 9 for 15. Jalen Curry getting it done. I mean, that backcourt, Sam Alberts says it in the chat. I said it on Twitter last night. That is, I think, the one thing with this Oklahoma State preseason performance you can really take away is they have improved their guard play. They have some real guards. They're able to play heavy minutes, and they're going to be able to score and contribute in a variety of ways. They have a freshman, Ryan Crotty, who didn't play a bunch in this one, 15 minutes, only scored 4 points on 1 for 5, but he's like a freshman that they're really excited about. He's a 2-time state champion out of Virginia, so very, very interested in what Oklahoma State has going on. Fun fact about, I believe, Wisconsin-Green Bay transfer Anthony Roy, Damon. Mm-hmm. He loves to bowl. This is what they were talking about on the broadcast last night because it's preseason basketball. He loves to bowl. He has a domestic short-haired cat named Phoenix, and his nickname is Lefty. So Anthony Roy, that's your 101 on Oklahoma State guard right there. But overall, preseason basketball is back. Arizona takes on St. Mary's this Saturday in conjunction with the Houston performance as well for the football boys. So very excited. Preseason basketball is back, and I was able to take some really good notes on 2 upcoming Arizona opponents in this one.
Auburn comes in at number 31 in the KenPom ratings, Kevin, preseason going into this season, whereas Oklahoma State finds themselves at 69.
Nice.
Thank you. That was your cue. But yeah, I think that it just goes to show kind of the level of the Big 12. Truly, if you're gonna come away with any take out of this, in my opinion, it's that the Big 12 is the premier basketball conference in America. And Kevin, we say that on this podcast all the time. Every year, the media masses, even the analytics nerds try to convince us that that is not the case. And then we watch it play out over the course of the season, and we see it be the case all over again. I see our guy Bees is here in the chat. And, ask ASU after this season if the Big 12 is the best basketball conference in America, because they might lose every single game that they play this year. So honestly, this conference is stacked top to bottom. Oklahoma State, an afterthought, is beating one of the, I don't want to call them the front runners of the SEC, because I don't think Auburn is really championship level this year, but
one of the darlings for sure.
One of the more high caliber opponents that you will face in the SEC. I mean, you got obviously the Alabamas of the world, the Floridas, the Kentuckys, but the Tennessees. But after that, I feel like that Auburn is in that next class of teams. So this was a big win for the Big 12 conference, put people on notice a little bit. I think, you definitely have to take Oklahoma State seriously after watching this game. And I don't know if you feel similarly, Kevin, in terms of the Big 12 love that I'm giving, but it's so funny to see, the Big 12 is the 3rd best conference, and then our preseason 11th ranked team is beating their preseason 5th ranked team in an exhibition game, and it's like, is it?
No, yeah, I think that is something that I was taking away from it last night, Damon. I was watching it. I almost tweeted it, but it's preseason, so I didn't want to get too far out ahead of my skis. But it feels like the Big 12 versus SEC supremacy thing is starting real early this time of year. You have it in football. You definitely have it in basketball right now.
The Big 10 is so much better, guys. We promise. And you're
UCLA,
wait, what transpired to make that? And you're like, nothing. But we promise it is.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. UCLA is really good.
And then
who did they add?
To underline our point that the Big 12 is better than the SEC, or at least more effective at basketball than the SEC, one of Auburn's most effective players last night in their loss was a Big 12 transfer from UCF, Keyshawn Hall, who dropped a point a minute. He had 26 in 26 minutes. He was huge down the stretch of that game, keeping them in it all the way till the very end, losing by just 2 points. He was really, really impressive in that one. I think there were questions in terms of can you translate what you did at UCF into the SEC, and can you kind of continue that? I know it was another Big 12 opponent, so it's kind of familiar waters there for Keyshawn Hall, but I think that kind of underscores our point of where like the real hoopers are in America. It's in the Big 12. It's in this conference that we belovedly have joined, right? I'm very excited to undergo this season, mostly because Arizona should be in the thick of it. And we do have the preseason poll that we're going to talk about here shortly, Damon. But yeah, I think that is something last night that was definitely on my mind, is the Big 12 showing itself early this season as the most competitive conference in America.
Yeah, I agree with that. And Keyshawn Hall, I mean, maybe not a perfect player, but bucket getter.
Yeah,
that's for sure. Certified bucket getter, especially at UCF last season. Played for an awful UCF team, but didn't he drop 40 on ASU?
He might have. I mean, it's not out of his like realm of possibility. With his talent, with his skill level, he could do that. He's a very, very high volume scorer. He almost led Auburn in rebounds last night as well. He had 8.
Yeah, he did drop 40 on ASU said.
So we like Keyshawn Hall over on this podcast.
Dude, a 40 burger in college is diabolical, dude. It really is.
It's hard.
That doesn't happen like ever.
Yeah.
And in Keyshawn Hall, to his credit, he has 2 other 34-point performances from last season as well. I mean, the dude just scores the basketball.
He does indeed. Hopefully, Braden Burries can get in his Keyshawn Hall bag and absolutely score the basketball at a super high rate this year.
Hopefully against ASU.
Hopefully, well,
that
definitely,
would be
definitely against ASU.
Just put right here, Kevin. 40 points. Braden Burries against ASU. I mean, feeds families. We're gonna have some fun with those 2 matchups this year.
We definitely are going to have some fun with our rivals from the north here in just a little bit.
With little brother. You
guys are
so cute.
I got your nose. I got your nose.
Nice pass, Mo Odom. Good one, guy.
Modem. But yeah, Damon, we're going to get more into Arizona's preseason placement in the preseason poll, because I guess the Big 12 is doing that, except for football, where they get embarrassed by ASU and they don't do it the next year. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Arizona not having any players on the Big 12 all-conference first team, even though they did 10 players for the first team. Arizona had no one on the list. We're going to talk about that and more here on the AZ Wildcats podcast. Leave a like, drink your water, and most importantly, do not go anywhere. Unless you are headed to our friends over at Chicken and Pickle, because Chicken and Pickle is the spot to be if you like pickleball or some delicious chicken, because Chicken and Pickle is family fun, friendly fun, and delicious food all wrapped up into one location. If your pickleball skills are questionable, you can still enjoy the food, but you can also get in at their beginner level stuff. They have, all types of tournaments. We've done PHNX pickleball tournaments there with our diehards. It's been a really fun time. They also have great food. Swing by their wood-fired rotisserie chicken, pulled pork, grass-fed beef sandwiches, and they have salads on top of all of that. Do you want fries or do you want tater tots? They got options. Check out their full Sunday brunch buffet. It's family-friendly fun at Chicken and Pickle. Visit chickenandpickle.com to plan your visit today.
Kevin's not just blowing smoke about the food there either. They taught me something about cooking. That's how good it is over there. Not to say that I'm like some cooking expert, but like when you're learning something about cooking from the place that you go eat at, I feel like they got some good stuff going on over there. Of course, head up Chicken and Pickle and, go play some pickleball. Go watch a game over there. It's so much fun. But of course, if you're going to go watch a game in person, there's only one place to do it, Kevin, and it's with our friends over at Game Time. So you got 2 options. You can either head over to gametime.co or you can head on over to the App Store, whatever your phone that you use is, and download the free app, the Game Time app, of course, today. And on your first purchase, we got a promo code for you. It's going to be PHNX. It'll get you $20 off your first purchase. So, guys, this is why I love Game Time. So many great features. It is by far the best ticketing app in the game, and for good reason, because they show you exactly where your seat is before you buy the tickets, before you make a purchase that you regret. They have the all-in ticketing fees, so you're not bamboozled by the fees that they're trying to add on in your cart when you thought that the tickets were $60 and now they turn out to be $100. Game Time tells you exactly what the full price is before you make a purchase. And of course, they have the Game Time Picks feature, Kevin, which will kind of, almost weed out the the seats that are not the best prices for you already, and show you what the best value is in that stadium for any particular game. Such a good feature. And of course, the interface is pristine as well. Not like one of these ticketing apps that, of course, you're clicking on something, waiting 5 seconds for it to show up on screen. Game Time has a great user interface that you're going to want to get in on. So guys, head on over to Game Time, take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time, and download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code PHNX, get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. Kevin, what time is it?
Game time! Shout out to our friends over at Game Time. If you're not getting your tickets with Game Time, you are mistaken. And shout out to Kobe in the chat.
You're an idiot. You're an idiot.
Because Kobe in the chat is actually I'm just going to speak for him. He's a Game Time lover because you don't defend ticketing services like Kobe did against other unnamed, very scamish ticketing services online unless you respect people like Game Time who are just trying to give you the best seats for the best price. Damon, we got Big 12 preseason polls for both women's basketball and men's basketball. I think we should start here. No football poll because they got embarrassed?
Yeah, man. I tweeted, that was my first thought when I even saw the basketball poll. I was like, wait, what? So why exactly did we not do a football poll this year? Is it solely because of the embarrassment of last season? Because again, Kevin, like as much as I think Brett Yormark in the Big 12 really almost hit the nail on the head in every circumstance, like Brett Yormark, there's a reason that the Big 12 is still alive and the Pac-12 is dead, right? It's because that dude, even when he was against all odds, when the Big 12 looked like it was about to get ravaged, just refused to let it die and really, did the opposite. Said, we're gonna go after the Pac-12 and we're gonna kill them and save ourselves. And I think you have to admire that kind of ingenuity, the forethought, the planning of a guy like that. As much as I love the Pac-12 and I'm a Pac-12 guy at heart. I have a lot of respect for the way that the Big 12 has handled things. I, for the life of me, can't understand why they're not using that as a promotion tool. For the life of me. It's like, dude, the team that everyone thought was going to be the worst team in the conference just won the whole damn thing. Every commercial should start with that. Hey, you might think your team sucks, might be the best in this conference, because that is how much parity we have from top to bottom. You can't even weed out the teams that are truly going to be good, the teams that are truly going to be bad. And I think that that's a positive point, Kevin. When I'm looking at this conference, I'm like, dude, sell that to your fans that like, hey, Arizona fans, I know you're feeling down about your 4-8 season from last season, but you got a pretty damn good shot to actually make some noise this year. And like, I know it didn't work out last Saturday, but if Arizona beats BYU on Saturday, you're in the thick of a potential championship appearance halfway through a season. Not to say that would happen, but you're in the thick of it, right? And I think ASU fans probably last year were like halfway through the season, probably thinking to themselves, we're having a good season so far, but it's probably gonna end eventually. You never know. So I just don't really get why they didn't do a football poll. I don't get why they're not marketing that, but I guess I'm happy they did a basketball one.
I'm happy they did a basketball one, Damon. I said this at Big 12 Football Media Day when you and I were out there in Frisco, Texas, covering that. I think I said it to you on the show as like a joke. I was like, I bet they just didn't do this because ASU embarrassed them and pretty much into submission to a point where they're like, well, we just don't do that because we were so wrong last time, right? And I think that, to your point, that's actually like a badge of honor for the conference. It's like, hey, we're so deep, 1 through 16 can win the whole damn thing. Yeah, that's how deep this conference is. And I think that that should be like a galvanizing thing for Brett Yormark. But I think not doing football, doing women's and men's basketball, it does kind of send a message, though, right? Of like, no, we got scared away by how wrong we were, and our pride got in the way, and we're not going to do a Big 12 poll this year, which is ridiculous because the Big 12 football conference is a ton of fun this year.
Yeah, you know how people would look like idiots with their polls? We did our polls because it's fun.
Yeah.
And come after us. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand the idea that, like, we're going to, like, clutch our pearls and be like, oh, my God, don't make fun of the sports media people who got a take wrong. It's like, dude, we're sitting up here spewing nonsense all day long. You're bound to have a couple misses, and it's funny. Picking ASU last is funny. So I genuinely do not get it. Like I said, I'm glad that they did basketball, but and I agree with you, Sam. Like I'm not saying I want to see the commercial personally. I'm saying that I think it's kind of short-sighted from a Big 12 standpoint, but also let me just point out and say that if you are in any way following the Big 12 and their awards they give out and the team of the year and all this stuff,
beef of the week,
they promote ASU enough. Student section of the week after we were silent for 3 quarters and then decided to turn it on in the 4th quarter, student section of the week. Like the Big 12 loves Arizona State. So I obviously that would suck to see a commercial, but we get enough of that as is. I'm almost like numb to it at this point. You remember when we were at the Big 12 media days, Kevin, and like the way that they were waxing poetically about ASU up on the main stage constantly? I mean, it was infuriating.
But to your point, if you're going to do that on the main stage, do it in a commercial too, right?
Yeah,
From zero to hero, like it writes itself in that way, right? And so, yeah, honestly, I love the Big 12 conference, but I got to call a spade a spade. Like, I feel like it's an embarrassing choice to not do a Big 12 preseason poll for football and then do it for the rest of the major sports.
Yeah.
It kind of, I don't know. It's a little bit embarrassing for a conference that I do have a lot of respect for. But we're talking about it. Let's dive right into it. We do have a preseason poll for football where Arizona comes in at number 4, receiving a first place vote, Damon. I'm interested that they got a first place vote. Texas Tech didn't. Iowa State comes in at number 5. Obviously, Houston and BYU 1 and 2. Kansas at 6. Baylor at 7. Cincinnati at 8, which I'm kind of interested in. A make or break year for Wes Miller. K-State, Jerome Tang. A lot of overhaul with that roster. We'll see how it pans out. TCU under not Sonny Dykes, but I do think that TCU could be a little bit better than this poll portrays. I think Cincinnati could be a little bit worse than this poll portrays. Oklahoma State coming in at 12, West Virginia at 11, Utah at 13 with Alex Jensen and all the new moving parts over there, and our rivals at Arizona State coming in dead Hurley last.
I saw some ASU fans playing around with it, saying that you guys will all see. Last time you did this was a mistake. But I don't think it's in the cards this time, Kevin, because they don't have an unknown quarterback that is kind of just waiting in the works. They don't have a Heisman candidate or I guess Naismith candidate player, also on their roster. Yeah. They don't have they certainly do not have the best coach potentially in the conference. So I'm thinking that this 16th is a lot different than their last time that they got 16th. But it's pretty funny to see them all the way down there at the bottom. And I think ASU fans get used to it in the Big 12. But I do think that their next coach will probably make them at least decent. I don't know. What do you think, Kevin?
I think the next coach after Bobby Hurley will do that.
I think they're going to invest heavily. I think because of they tried to with Bobby really bad. Like they did all the guard U stuff. We're just going to try to steal point guard U. They, Adidas was like, we're going to make them our like West Coast basketball school after UCLA left us. Like they tried to do like a whole thing of investment into ASU basketball. Didn't work out, but I think that the next go around, they're going to try it all over again. We'll see how it goes.
I think so too. Let's talk a little bit about Arizona in this one. They come in 4th. They do receive a first place vote. Are you surprised that they got a first place vote at all, Damon, when a school such as, I believe it was Texas Tech, that got a lot left out of the first place voters in that top 4?
Yeah, I mean, I think personally, I think Arizona is better than Texas Tech, but obviously I'm speaking from a place of pretty pure bias here. So I'll admit that, but I think those teams are about as neck and neck as possible. We saw it all year last year where Texas Tech and Arizona were almost kind of going back and forth in the standings the whole time until BYU really started to make that late push at the end of the season. But yeah, man, I mean, I think that Texas Tech, Arizona, Houston, BYU, like I wouldn't be shocked if any of those 4 teams won the conference, Kevin, at the end of the day. And honestly, I understand it. They were, runners up last year. They They ran away with the conference last year. They won the conference tournament as well. That's not like Houston should be the favorite. I also think 14-1 to 0-1 is a little bit of a crazy breakdown of first place votes, in my opinion. I mean, some people might disagree with me. And like I said, I think Houston is very much like should be the betting odds favorite to be number one again. They have Emmanuel Sharp, Milos Uzan, Tugler. Like they have all these guys. Chris Sinek Jr. Obviously steps into that starting role, and we'll hear Kelvin Sampson and just kind of his take on freshmen and Chris Sinek Jr. in particular later. But it just feels like to me that's a huge discrepancy in terms of what I actually think the conference is going to play out as. Maybe those people look like geniuses when it's all said and done. Maybe it's like last year, but I can't help but look at, kind of just the discrepancy of the votes here, Kevin, and go, really? BYU, they had the number one recruit in the country. They had probably the most valuable guard in the transfer portal, and they bring back their best player, and not more than one person thinks that they could be the best team. Arizona brings in the number 2 recruiting class in the entire country after Duke, and not one person thinks that maybe they have what it takes to be the champion here. And Texas Tech obviously has a guy who is maybe the front runner for the player of the year in the entire country in JT Toppin, and they don't even get one vote. So maybe you disagree, Kevin, but personally, my first thought was like, damn, that seems like kind of a lot of confidence in Houston when they should have a lot of confidence in them, but I don't know about that much.
Maybe I'm pulling a Mike Wilbon for my own team here in a little bit and almost thinking less of Arizona because I'm trying to couch my own bias when I'm looking at this poll. But my first reaction to looking at the discrepancy in the votes was I'm kind of surprised Arizona got a vote at all, right? Mostly because I think that's just kind of the role Arizona is going to play right now, is being like not low preseason ranked enough to be a dark horse in the conference, but also not being thought of as high. You know what I mean? I think there's a lot of people that think Arizona is going to be quite good and that they might make a deeper tournament run. But I think a lot of pundits look at Arizona and say they're going to be good, not great. And I think so that is why I kind of am surprised that Arizona did get a vote. I think 4 is probably about right for Arizona, being in that like 3 to 5 range preseason. I think is fair. BYU, you add AJ DeBanza, you add Rob Wright, like you alluded to. You have a coach in Kevin Young who everybody believes in Kevin Young. I believe in Kevin Young. He has that NBA backbone to him. I think BYU has their steward of the program for the near future.
Everyone but Suns fans, maybe.
Yeah. Houston coming in at number 1, no surprise to me, right? You're national runners up last year. You bring in Chris Sinak Jr., or I think he's a junior. Chris Sinak for certain.
Yeah, he is.
And then you also, you maintain some players on that roster like an Emmanuel Sharp, like a Milos Uzan. And then you also have this freshman Kingston, who they're very excited about in Houston as well. So I think Houston's roster, to be honest, is a little bit more impressive than I was giving it credit for a lot of the offseason as we're getting closer to it and I'm diving deeper into it. I can totally understand people being all over this Houston roster. Now, will Chris Sinak turn out to be this guy that gets you 14 votes the way that maybe some people in Houston think? We'll see. We're going to talk to Kelvin Sampson. We're going to hear from Kelvin Sampson in a little bit about that. But there are some other teams on this list, Damon, that I wanted to discuss in relation to Arizona here. Iowa State at 5. They're not going to have Tamin Lipsey for the first 4 to 6 weeks of the season. He's out with injury. They do have, a decent roster there with TJ Otzelberger, but I'm honestly not as high on Iowa State as many people seem to be.
I'll just cut you off there for a second in regards to Iowa State. I felt like when we did our offseason breakdown of additions versus losses, that was the one team that I came away the most with being like, they might take a big step back this season. And that's not to say that they don't have good players on their roster. Lipsey is a really good player. But again, 4 to 6 weeks to start the season, and you lose Curtis Jones. Yeah. You lose, who was the other guy that they lost? They lost another really good player
I'll pull it up
last season. But
quick.
Iowa State is, I think, they're a well-coached team. They're just kind of one of those programs in athletic departments right now that just seems like they really have things going on the right track. You know what I mean? Like they feel very stable in almost every spot. And Iowa State fans probably get underrated a lot. Keyshawn Gilbert, yeah. Iowa State, yeah, because Keyshawn Gilbert was doing all those Euro steps and nasty moves on Arizona last year.
St. Louis, and how could I forget?
That's right. Yeah, you're supposed to remember those.
Yeah, that's on me,
by the way. But I think that was the team that I was like, what am I missing with Iowa State? Yeah. Like, I don't feel like they're really a top 25 caliber roster personally. Maybe they prove us wrong. I'm sure Iowa State fans are used to this exact sentiment being said about every program that they have, Kevin, whether it's the football program, people sitting up here and being like, I just don't really see it with Iowa State. How's their roster, up there with the best of them? But I guess that's kind of Iowa State's thing. So maybe they do end up being a lot better than we think, Kevin. But me and you are on the same page in terms of like, I think they're more of a mid-tier team in this Big 12 than at the top, personally.
Yeah, if I were to argue with the preseason poll, I'd be doing it semantics-wise in terms of Iowa State, because I think they're more like in the 8 through 6 range as opposed to like top 5 preseason. But yeah, I'm with you. I think Iowa State takes a slight step back. I don't think they look really bad this year by any means. I think TJ Otzelberger is a really good coach. I think they do have a lot of talent over there in Iowa State, but I do see them taking a slight step back from being that Big 12 title contender that they were just a year ago when they were healthy. Because remember that was another big question mark last year. Health for this Iowa State roster is not like a new question mark. This was question marks last year. I remember us previewing the Arizona matchup with Iowa State and me talking about how, well, when the team is healthy, they're one of the top teams in the country. When they're not healthy, they're just a really good team. And I think that's kind of, you're going to see the really good version of Iowa State, but not quite the great version that you almost got at times with consistency last year. There are a couple more teams on here I wanted to talk about with you, Damon. I'll poke you with this one first. Bill Self in Kansas coming in number 6. Darren Peterson is a lot of people's like hot, sexy pick for, best player in the country, best freshman in the country, top overall pick, right? It's him and AJ DeBanza going band for band week after week. People talking themselves in circles like me as to whether or not they think Peterson is better, DeBanza's better. I think Bill Self, without Hunter Dickinson, can really be competitive in this conference. And I'm kind of surprised given the track record that Bill Self has in the Big 12 without Hunter Dickinson. Because if you look at it, I feel like Bill Self is winning every year in the Big 12 that he did not have Hunter Dickinson.
I've been saying that point for months on this show, Kevin. I've been saying that Kansas is going to be back solely because they got that big oaf from under the basket who clogs things up, plays horrific defense, doesn't come up in big moments. Hunter Dickinson is a losing basketball player.
Correct.
He is. And so Kansas transitioning to a more fast-paced, up-and-down style of play is, I think, going to do nothing but benefit them so greatly. And I think Kansas is going to be really good.
Yeah, me and Damon, spoiler alert, are going to do a trending pod talking about, also, I know we said we were going to do it on this past Wednesday, but I think we're just going to combine the Big 12 preseason poll and the AP preseason poll because now we have both preseason polls to work with. But I expect Kansas on my list to be a little bit higher than 6. I really think KU is going to be good this year. You have Darren Peterson, who looks to be one of the most talented scorers from a freshman perspective that we've seen in years. Like, he can score at all 3 levels. He's physical. Yeah. He's built different. I'm very excited about Darren Peterson. Cannot wait to watch him this season. And I think Kansas, barring anything unforeseen, with the roster or Bill Self's health, I think Kansas does a lot of work this year pretty quietly compared to where they are preseason at number 6.
I agree with you. And they add 3 transfers too, Kevin, who are all pretty high caliber, 4-star level guard transfers. Maybe 2 of those guys doesn't work out, but they're certainly going to find one of those guys that is a player, right? And I think, you look at Trey White and his high school ranking, if Kansas is taking a guy like that, I think you always open your eyes and say, dude, that could really, be a pretty big move here for a Kansas team. And Trey White averaged double-digit points per game last year for a pretty good Illinois team. So
you also keep Flory Badunga, former 5-star, former McDonald's All-American as well, who didn't get a lot of run last year, nearly transferred out to get a little bit more run. Bill Self says, not so fast, my friend, and comes on back with Flory Badunga. So I think Kansas is kind of like it's weird to say this sentence that I'm about to utter, but I think Kansas is like a sleeper pick for conference champion, which usually sleeper in Kansas and Big 12 basketball don't really mix. But this year, I think it does. I if you're not picking Arizona, if you're not picking Houston, if you're not picking Tech, Hell, if you're not even picking BYU, I think Kansas should be the next name out of your mouth there. If you're talking Big 12 regular season champs, Damon.
I'm with you. And also, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Kevin Sammy's Calderon, who is, I have stuck my flag in him as a player and said that guy is cold, because
Great name.
I watched a few highlights of him, and that athleticism is unbelievable.
Oh, you showed me this guy.
That was the dude who was just pinning dudes off the backboard, just every play essentially, just chase down LeBron style blocks. Guy has insane athleticism. He's a top 100 recruit. Comes in at number 84, Brazilian. I just think his tools are so insane. I think that's the type of player that, like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that dude sucks. But I could see a world where we're like, dude, they got that 6'8" dude with the 7'3" wingspan who's jumping out the gym. Like, that guy's nuts.
What's Dwayne Aristode's wingspan? Jamie, can you look that up for me,
I
please?
can look that up for you.
But while you look that up, I wanted to talk about one more team on this list, and that is Cincinnati. 6'10". It was 6'10". Eye emojis.
7'3" for Calderon.
That's crazy.
Insane,
Yeah, that's insane. I want to talk about number 8, Cincinnati here. I think Cincinnati is going to be taking a large step back this year. I almost said this week, like we're talking football still. But this year for Cincinnati and Wes Miller, I don't see them going dancing this year either. I think like Oklahoma State or TCU could take that Cincinnati spot in the dance this year. I just don't see it with Cincinnati, man. I just don't see it. Am I missing something, in your opinion, with Cincinnati basketball this year that I should be more careful of underrating them? Because I honestly think they come closer to 8 than they do 5, or come closer to 10 in the rankings than they do 5 in the Big 12. I just don't see them being like 8 or being 7 or 6. I see them being like 9, 10, or 11, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely am not like, I don't think Wes Miller is some coach that you write home about necessarily. I think Cincinnati's had a decent amount of hype the last couple of seasons, honestly. Like, their roster last year, on paper at least, looked like a team that could potentially make some noise, right? I mean, you think about kind of some of the players that they had. Like, they had the dude from Mitchell, from Texas, Dylan Mitchell, good player, dude. Like, really good player, super athletic, power forward. You, of course, who by the way, Dylan Mitchell, you know where he is now? Where we'll play a little game of where are they now?
I don't know.
Because all these Cincinnati players are no longer on the team anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I know Dan Skillings is up out of there. He's playing for Baylor now.
Yes.
We're going to talk about that a little bit.
I was about to play that game with you, so you could have got that one right, Kevin.
I could have.
But yeah, I mean, as I'm looking at these players here, I mean, they bring Kirk Risa in. Pivotal.
What are we doing with that one?
They bring Sincere Harris from West Virginia in. They bring in Mustafa Thiam, who actually is pretty good from UCF.
Yeah, not a bad player.
That's a decent little transfer in. 97 transfer grade for Mustafa Thiam, Kevin. So they think that one's pretty pivotal. Jalen Celestine from Baylor as well gets brought in.
He's a good player as well.
Yeah, I mean, they added some decent players to their team.
But Miller?
they did lose so much in terms of Skillings and Mitchell and whatnot. And I agree with you that in terms of coaching, like, I don't think Wes Miller is going to be the guy who brings in a whole new roster and then elevates the team when his last roster was fairly talented to begin with. So,
correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but like Wes Miller is kind of coaching for his job this year. I think in a lot of ways, like if he doesn't go dancing, like the door, you know what I mean? And I think that's a real possibility. Like, they actually did do a college basketball trade, Skillings for Celestine, straight up. That's kind of fire. Yeah. But like, I just don't see it with Cincinnati. Maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully, for Wes Miller's sake, I am wrong, but I just don't see it.
I think you're absolutely right about Wes Miller in terms of, what he's coaching for and the stakes this season. Because if you look at his tenure there, dude, he's been at Cincinnati since 2021.
Wow.
Yeah. And in terms of success at Cincinnati, he's gone nothing NIT quarterfinals, CBC quarterfinals, which is the crown, of course, which every team gets invited to, even Arizona State. So, like, that's what we're talking about in terms of success from Wes Miller's standpoint. I think he's got to make the tournament this year or else he's cooked. I think that's a really interesting kind of talking point before the season to get in on. Kevin, was there any other teams that you wanted to talk about?
We kind of touched on Oklahoma State already. I think they could be a little bit more frisky than people give them credit for. Utah, I do expect them to be accurately in that 13 to 16 range. Not by any fault of Alex Jensen, first-year head coach, NBA ties. Utah kind of following in the footsteps of BYU there, trying to steal a little bit of that NBA aura of Kevin Young with Alex Jensen. I just don't, like so many first-year guys like on that roster, I just don't see it like panning out year one.
Here's what I will say about that, though. Don't you think if Alex Jensen is Kevin Young level, like, which I'm not saying that you're saying that, but like that's kind of what Utah's trying to do.
Yeah, Utah's
right?
trying to, yeah.
They're trying to Kevin Young their basketball program. And that's why they brought in Alex Jensen, who's a guy who played for that program, has been in and around the NBA circles forever, the Jazz. Like, he's super big in Utah basketball in particular.
Yeah.
I think that if he's the coach that we think he potentially could be, Kevin, that you see that in year one. And that's not to say that their roster is super talented, but I think that a coach that's truly that level will elevate his roster to not just an easy out. Like, I think that basketball coaches have a big enough impact on the game. This isn't like a baseball manager where it's just like you're just kind of there sitting down in the dugout. Like, I feel like this is like you have a huge impact on what goes down. And I feel like if Alex Jensen is that guy, like, they'll be more in that like 11 range, like 10 range. Like, I think they'll still be a bottom half team, but I think that they'll show signs of life more than just being like, well, our roster's super untalented, so you can't blame us for losing all these basketball games. Like, I think that if he's that guy, he's going to be a little bit above that, personally.
I actually like that little devil's advocate take there for Alex Jensen. And I'm interested to give it a little bit more time into the season to see how he really goes with that roster, because the roster really isn't.
No.
It's really not impressive. So if he can shine up that turd, really good signs for Utah and Alex Jensen. One last thing I want to mention, UCF, in terms of the number 14 preseason team in the Big 12 Conference, that is like, I don't know, I haven't done my research on it, but please correct me if I'm wrong. That must be the oldest, most experienced roster in the conference. I think, like, if you look at their roster, I think UCF has like the 4-year guy all-stars, where you have like guys who have been on 3 teams in 4 years and looking to make a step up into the Big 12 or whatnot. Like, a lot of different contexts as to how you ended up on UCF this year. But if you're on UCF, it tells me you have some experience playing college basketball. I'm interested to see if they'll be able to get much out of that this season under Johnny Dawkins, the other Duke guard basketball coach in the conference. But I would not be surprised if UCF is like frisky, competitive, still not a good team, but just because they have so much experience, I would not be surprised. And those are kind of all my preseason thoughts right now before we do our rankings on a trending pod a little bit later. Save some juice for that. But those are all my thoughts on that. Damon, do you have any other teams you wanted to discuss in the conference before we move on?
I just think looking at UCF, it's interesting. I don't know if a team's ever brought in that many players in one offseason, all 13, for example. They have literally gotten rid of every player they had, replaced them all. And as you say, the experience thing is interesting because I think Johnny Dawkins, much like a Wes Miller, much like a Bobby Hurley, is kind of coaching for his job this year. It's been a while that Johnny Dawkins has been the coach at UCF, and he hasn't been good since they had Taco Fall on the team. And how long ago was that? I was like a junior in college back then, Kevin. I lived at the cottages when that game was. I remember watching that game. Zion and RJ Barrett and why am I blanking on Cam Reddish? They were playing against Taco Fall and UCF, and UCF probably should have gotten the job done and eliminated them in the second round. They haven't done anything close to that since. And, I think, this is the opportunity, right? Like that's an interesting play from Johnny Dawkins being like, listen, I'm about to get fired if I don't have a good year. So give me all the dudes who have played the most college basketball possible. And you bring in guys like Devin Cambridge, who played at ASU, who, of course, this is like his 6th year of college basketball. And Kevin, he's one of the lowest rated recruits that they got in their class. Like, I think that's pretty telling of kind of the caliber of player that they're bringing in. Like, Devin Cambridge is a rotation player for a college basketball Division I Power 4 team. And, he's one of the guys that they brought in. They brought in $1 million. They brought in.
How can we not talk BJ Freeman being on this roster?
That was literally where I was going with it. I was going to say they brought in a man who likes to assault players on the basketball court. But Kevin, we don't know what he said to deserve it.
Free Caleb. He ain't do nothing.
That's a little bit of a callback to one of Kevin and I's first post-game shows that we ever did, where, of course, ASU fans were trying to justify BJ Freeman assaulting Caleb Love on the basketball court with a headbutt because we don't know what he could have said to deserve it, which is just insane behavior. A little bit of trash talk doesn't mean that you should be physically assaulting people, but BJ Freeman's a decent basketball player. He really is. And I think, that's kind of quintessential of what they're getting at UCF. They're going to be bringing in a lot of experienced guys. But if you wouldn't mind just bringing up this list one last time for us, Kevin, and maybe for our audio listeners, I don't believe we fully ran down the entire thing. Houston getting 14 of the first place votes out of a possible 16 at the top. BYU with 1 vote in second place. Texas Tech in third. Arizona in fourth, also receiving a vote. Iowa State 5, Kansas 6, Baylor 7, Cincinnati 8, K-State 9, TCU 10, West Virginia 11, Oklahoma State 12, Utah 13, UCF 14, Colorado 15, and ASU 16.
Shout out to Edgar in the chat who says BJ Freeman just wanted to have a highlight with an NBA player. And I loved that comment. But yeah, we're going to talk about the Big 12 first team.
Oh yeah, isn't that it? Sam just made a good point. Isn't BJ Freeman fighting with the NCAA potentially as well? I think that is true. Sam is locked in, man.
Yeah, Sam is locked in. Shout out to Sam.
Oh, you know what? I don't know if it's an eligibility issue. Didn't he had some investigation issues with the gambling.
Misner in the chat says, didn't BJ get in trouble for gambling? How is he still on the roster?
Yeah.
Also, Jervis, while we're shouting out the chat, says, how about Caleb killing it right now? So proud of him. I did repost that to my Twitter the other day. Caleb Love hitting some big shots in the NBA preseason. Love to see that. I remember arguing with Steve Rivera as to whether or not he would have a spot in the NBA. And there's still time for me to be wrong on that. But I think it's nice to see him be well on his way to earning a spot in the NBA. Damon and I are going to talk about some players in the Big 12 that could be on NBA screens as soon as next season. And we'll do that after this quick break here on the AZ Wildcats podcast. Leave a like, drink your water, and most importantly, do not go anywhere. It is time. Oh, yes, it is time. Basketball season is here, and you need to rep your squad better than anybody else in the Valley. And that, right there in the bottom left of your screen, is how you do it with our friends over at Rally House. Rally House is your one-stop shop for all your favorite memorabilia for your favorite basketball or football teams. I'm talking everything from dog collars, coasters, probably Monopoly games, shirts, jerseys, necklaces, wristbands, probably baby apparel as well. Rally House is your one-stop shop, and they have 39 plus pages of Arizona Wildcats merch and memorabilia for you to sort through and shop through. Find your local Rally House location and shop their entire product assortment online today at www.rallyhouse.com. I've said it once, I'll say it many more times. Every time I go back to St. Louis, I gotta stop by my local Rally House, make sure I'm not missing out on any Blues stuff, on any Cardinal stuff, anything. I just gotta make sure I'm up to date. The Blues just rebranded. I'm gonna have to stop by Rally House next time I go home, shop the whole assortment there. So if you want some Arizona Wildcat stuff, head to www.rallyhouse.com right now.
Kevin, of course, who hates all the teams that we cover at this network and would refuse to walk in an Arizona Rally House, but definitely makes time when he goes back to St. Louis. But guys, Rally House, the best products available on the market when it comes to sports apparel. And of course, I got to talk to you guys about my friends over at Circle K as well. Kevin, I was on empty yesterday.
Oof.
On empty.
But who was there for you?
Well, that's the thing. I was driving. I was headed back home. I was in North Phoenix. I got us a new sign for the office. I don't even think I showed it to you yet. You might have saw it though.
There were rumors of a new sign.
I got a new sign for the office for our little production room, and I was in North Phoenix picking it up from a very nice family. And as I was trying to get back to the 51 to go back home to my little Arcadia townhome that I live in, I'm trying to get on the freeway, and I look at my gas thing and I go, what does that say? 0 miles, Kevin? And then I look on my app, my GPS, and I go, oh, would you look at that? There happens to be a Circle K on the way before I even get on the 51. I didn't even need to reroute. I didn't need to do nothing. I just got off. I turned in. I gave him my Inner Circle Rewards member number, Kevin, and I got 5 cents off per gallon on my fill up because I am a premium member of the Inner Circle, which is a free membership program that saves you so much money, guys. You download a free app. You choose an email, plug in a password, and you're done. It's that simple, and the savings are right in front of you. 25 cents off per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups, 3 cents off per gallon every time you fill up after that until you become a premium member like me, and you get 5 cents off per gallon. Whatever, we don't care. 5 cents off per gallon once you become a premium member. So guys, become an Inner Circle member today. The rewards are always happening, whether it's drink deals, snack deals, gas deals. They got everything going on over at Circle K, and they are America's thirst stop for a reason. So join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details.
And we're back. Edgar in the chat says, you probably only needed to look in all 4 directions and you would have seen a Circle K. I know that's right, Edgar.
Honestly, a fact. In Jervis, I'll tell you what the gas prices out in AZ are right now.
Cheaper at Circle K.
Cheaper at Circle K. That's a damn fact, Kevin.
That's an alley-oop from Damon to me on the Circle K ad. And 60 of you guys watching right now, please leave a like. Please subscribe. Please consider dropping a comment in our chat talking Big 12 preseason polls. We're also talking Big 12 all-conference first team preseason list has been released, Damon, and you might be like, oh, well, who are the 5 players on that list? And I'll be like, save it for the next person and double it because we got 10 people on this list per Rothstein Reacts. All Big 12 preseason first team. AJ DeBonsa from BYU. Richie Saunders, age 39, from BYU. Emmanuel Sharp, Houston. JoJo Tugler from Houston. Milos Uzan from Houston.
Otherwise known as Thugler.
Tamin Lipsey, Iowa State. Darren Peterson from Kansas. PJ Haggerty of K-State. Christian Anderson of Texas Tech. And JT Toppin of Texas Tech. Damon, there are 10 really, really good players on this list.
There are.
Let's preface it with that before we get into anything else. There are 10 incredibly good players that are on your screen right now with their associated schools next to them. But however, shouldn't there be an Arizona Wildcat on there? And you're telling me we got two
Why?
We got 2 super high-level freshmen on there and Darren Peterson and AJ DeBonsa, but no consideration for Koa Pete. No consideration for a Braden Burries. No consideration for Dwayne Arizona either. But do you think that is surprising at all, Damon? Do you think that Arizona players deserves a shout at being a preseason first-teamer? Or does this list not surprise you at all and you think they got it correct?
Well, I'll tell you what surprised me first about the list, and I've said this before because this is not the first time I've ever seen one of these, but you can't have a first-team basketball team and put 10 players on it.
It's dumb.
It's moronic. That's this. 5 of those guys are on the second team. This has never happened in college in a sport before, Kevin, where they're just doubling the amount of players that you would have on an actual team and being like, everybody gets first team. It's like that's participation trophy culture happening in real time.
It's also NIL culture happening in real time. Because what do all these players, if you are a guy like, I don't know, Tamin Lipsey, right, who might not be drafted after this season, for example, but you can make money off of being a preseason first-team guy, at least in the next couple of months as you're, I'm sure, scouting out, your agent's going out, getting deals for you, getting commercials for you. You see Noah Fafita in season doing commercial stuff. You think that was done a year and a half ago? Or I think people are out there working actively to get these players out in front of people's faces. And it is a way to really up your status. Well, I'm preseason first team. They think I'm going to be one of the best 5 players in the conference, even though there's 10 guys on the list. It's kind of crazy. I'm not going to lie. I don't like the 10. I think it kind of cheapens it. You know what I mean? Being a preseason first teamer, but there's 10 guys and Richie Saunders is on there, and no disrespect to Richie Saunders, but like you said, that should be preseason second team. When you have guys like DeBonsa, that's 1. I'll say Uzan. Peterson, that's 2. Uzan, that's 3. I think Haggerty's going to have such a high usage at K-State that if he is the player that we think he could be coming in from Memphis.
And then Toppin.
He's on there and then Toppin.
That's 5. That's your 5.
That's your 5. You could even say, well, get Haggerty out of there, get Christian Anderson in there because people love Christian Anderson. But either way, Richie Saunders, Emmanuel Sharp, Tugler, Lipsey, these are second-team guys. And that is not a disrespectful thing to say. saying that you're a top 10 player in the conference. You're just not top 5 preseason. But yeah, I think it's crazy to have 10 guys on this list. And I think it's even crazier to have 10 guys and get to the likes of Taman Lipsey, who I think is a really good player. I think he's a really good player before you even get to guys like Coapete and Braden Burries. How is that a thing that you do? Arizona is top 15 in the country. Arizona is number 4 in the preseason poll. Arizona got a first place vote, and Arizona doesn't have a top 10 player in the conference. It's kind of insane. The point guard is not a top 10 player who is a senior leader of the team, maybe best point guard in the conference. The 5-star, multiple-time gold medalist, 4-time state champion, even though he has the better resume than DeBanza and Peterson, he's not getting any love. Braden Burries, he's reclassified. He's older than most of these freshmen coming into the conference. He's more physically built than most of the freshmen coming into this conference. He's not getting any love. He's a 3-level scorer, by the way. I don't understand it. I don't get it. It's preseason. It means nothing. But as a fan of the program that got snubbed off this list, I kind of feel some type of way. We got Richie Saunders on the list. Richie Saunders, who is a really good player, but he's not. He's just. I'm done.
My guy Kevin is fired up.
Basketball is back. Basketball is back.
I just thought that was funny. You're like, Damon, thoughts on this? Because I have a lot of them that I'm going to say all right now.
But
yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think you look at the list; these are all phenomenal players, Kevin. Like, seriously, they really are.
They are.
I think Richie Saunders, honestly, out of this list, he wouldn't even be the guy that I go after.
He did catch it straight from me.
I think that the first team list in particular, and maybe you find this, maybe you disagree with this, and I think that, I am very much like this guy's a two-way player, he deserves respect type of guy. But Joseph Tugler averaged 5.5 points per game last year, Kevin. First team.
Kelvin Sampson is working miracles.
Because he's undercutting people under the basket and hurting them for the game. Like, all this guy does is be dirty. That's all he does. He's a hard defender. He's a hard-nosed defender, and he's dirty as hell. I was about to say another word. He's super dirty. And it's like, if he's not being dirty, then he's not even providing 50% of what he provides on a basketball court. And that's a first-team player, a guy who literally you need to be, like, enforcing his will on the opposing players, or else he's not going to be on the list? To me, a guy that, if you have an ounce of foul trouble, you're just like not helping your team at all, is not a first team caliber basketball player. Like, if Joseph Tugler if he has 3 fouls, Kevin, and he can't play his style of basketball, what is he providing you on a basketball court? Emmanuel Sharp, great player, spot up shooter. Is Anthony Dell'Orso on this list?
I'll say one thing.
Are we doing that? We're putting sharpshooters on the first team list?
Sharp's a sharpshooter that was a dull shooter when it mattered most in the championship, and that's all I'll say.
Fact. Ugh. And so it's like you're picking 2 players who I think are great players. And if you're Houston, these guys are contributing to winning at a high level. But they are not what you expect to see on a first team caliber list.
No.
Especially in the best basketball conference in America. Especially when you're surrounded by guys like AJ DeBansta, Darren Peterson, who might be the number 1 pick next year. Like, that's what I can't understand. You're picking these like niche role players who have almost filled their role so well that they're being given more of a role. But it's like, we haven't seen that yet. Whereas Jaden Bradley was the best player on Arizona all year last year. And where did Arizona finish, Kevin? 3rd. And he was the best player on the entire team all season long, from start to finish. Most consistent player. Brought it night in and night out. And you want to talk about playing 2 ways? That dude averages 11 points per game and combines it with the best point guard defense in college basketball. And you're telling me that's not a first-team player? I get the Braden Burries and the Coapete stuff. I project those guys to be awesome. I think at the end of the year, if one of those dudes is not on the first team, that's probably a mistake and a disaster, right, for Arizona.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this list is going to be predisposed to giving credit to players who have done it before. So why is Jaden Bradley not on this list? Because he did it an entire year last year with consistency, and he's a better player than Joseph Tugler and Emmanuel Sharp are, and he was the guy on the team. And that's where I think that Jaden Bradley is being disrespected. I think that Koa Pete and or Braden Burries is being disrespected, but I almost feel like that maybe they're looking at those two guys and being like, well, if we put one on, then we have to put the other.
But
so
you
that's
don't.
2 spots. So we're just going to put neither of them on when it's like, or you could just put Jaden Bradley on instead of Lipsy because he's a better basketball player than him. Maybe is he a better flashy passer than a Lipsy? No. And is that like, when you think of a point guard, do you think like, that dude's a passer? Yes. But Jaden Bradley is a clear better player than Tayshaun Lipsy. You look at all of the guys on that list. Like I'm not necessarily walking away being like they're worlds better than a Jaden Bradley, other than the guys who figure to be big time NBA players, and maybe a Milos Uzan who outplayed Jaden Bradley in 3 games last year or 2 games last year, and when they went head to head, and was the reason pretty much that they won. But I saw Kobe talking about Christian Anderson. I love Christian Anderson. He's not better than Jaden Bradley. Not in 2025. He might be moving forward, but Jaden Bradley's a senior, and Christian Anderson's a sophomore. And Christian Anderson can't play defense like Jaden Bradley can, and is not physically developed like Jaden Bradley is. And so it's like, yeah, the guy's unbelievable, and I think he's a really, really good basketball player, Kevin, but I feel like that's unfair to Jaden Bradley completely. Like, am I off in saying that? Like, would you, how do you kind of evaluate those two in particular if you're comparing a Jaden Bradley versus a Christian Anderson?
In terms of Anderson versus Bradley, I think it's like the classic, like, what are we evaluating for? Because I think if we're talking pro prospects, it's Christian Anderson, in my opinion, mostly because of his production as a freshman and what he showed as a freshman coming in.
I think it's fair. I think Christian Anderson might have a better college basketball career than Jaden Bradley.
Yeah, sure. Potentially so, right? But I think like what is kind of crazy is to look at a guy who has, I'll say it like this. Jaden Bradley was better than both Christian Anderson and Taymon Lipsy in points, rebounds, and assists last season. Better than both of them in all of those. And I think to drag it back into the conversation about the list, what is Joseph Tugler getting on that list for, Damon?
Defense.
Okay. He averaged 1.9 blocks per game last season, right? And you're like, well, Jaden Bradley, he's not doing that because you can't average. He's a guard. He's 6'3", 200 pounds. He can't do that. What he can do is average 1.8 steals a game. So you know what I mean? What are we valuing here? Because Jaden Bradley, no matter how you cut it, should be on that list.
Yeah.
And if we're doing it based off projections of pro stuff, I get it. Then Koa Pete or Braden Burries should be on that list. I think if we're doing like a sicko all first team, you could even argue that Dwayne Aristotle can make the list. But I'm not going to get too far out ahead of my skis. But either way, Damon.
That's a Kevin take.
It is a Kevin take. I just love his game. But when you look at this list one more time, there are like probably 6 guys on this list that are bona fide, should be here kind of players. And then there are 3 or 4 to where it's like, okay, you're a second team guy or you shouldn't be involved in this conversation. And that's no disrespect because we're talking about who are the top 5 guys across all the teams in the best basketball conference in America. It's a brutal conversation, and I understand them not wanting to just pick 5 guys and wanting to pick 10 because we're talking about cutting some incredibly talented players from that list. But if you're doing the exercise and the way that the exercise is intended, you're going to have to make some tough choices. And I feel like they did not make enough tough choices if you have Joseph Tugler on the list of preseason first-team guys where he's not even going to – okay, I'll say it like this. If Chris Sinak pans out, Tugler won't even be the best big on his own team.
No.
So
Tugler wasn't the best big on his team last year.
You're preaching to the choir. I'm just saying, like, even if you're projecting for this year and maybe you're like, oh, Tugler's going to step up and play a bigger role. Sure, until Chris Sinak, like, rounds into form.
Yeah. I mean, Emmanuel Sharp was the 3rd best guard on Houston last year. 3rd best, and he's on that list. Like, this is entirely, for me, and that's where the inconsistency lies that I can't stand. It's like, does defense matter or does it not? Because the one reason Joseph Tugler is on this list is because of defense. Well, Jaden Bradley is way better I know that you're comparing apples and oranges. He's a way better offensive player than Joseph Tugler is. And I know that it's apples and oranges playing a big man playing elite defense versus a guard playing elite defense and the impact that those two have, but he's still giving you elite defense. And as I previously stated, these lists are oftentimes offensive-based lists. Like, these are not lists that, Jaren Jackson is not making the someone's preseason All-NBA team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, Bam's not making people's preseason's All-NBA team, even though he's literally been on All-NBA teams before. And it's because, you like, on preseason lists, you go offense heavy.
Yeah.
Every time.
It's the loudest and easiest thing to project.
Except when it doesn't benefit Arizona and does benefit Arizona's most close opponents. That I don't get it, man. And so what I find even weirder about this is that this is a coaches voted list, right? So these are what the coaches are telling Arizona players how they feel about them. And as Sam says, like, Tommy needs to put this on a picture in the locker room and like point to it every day and be like, this is what my cohort of coaches believes about you.
Yeah.
And they don't believe that any of you guys are high caliber enough players to like be a real like blue chipper, to be a guy that's going to like carry this team. And I do agree that to the extent a little bit of like Arizona is kind of a culmination of like a lot of mouths to feed.
Yeah.
We got a ton of players to get the ball to, 9 deep, as someone said on the show earlier in the comments. Like, it makes sense to me, the concept of like, there might be a little bit too much rock to go around for anyone to end up on the first team truly. But like, it just feels disrespectful when you are putting Kansas State players on the list and there's no U of A player and you have U of A 4th out of 16. And it's like, so how are they finishing? So Tommy Lloyd better win Coach of the Year, right? Right?
That's actually a great point. That's actually an unintended great consequence of being
my
underrated.
agenda all season has been set.
Yeah.
Tommy Lloyd has a bum roster. If he even makes the tournament, he should be the Coach of the Year in the conference. This is thank you for leading me. You led a horse to water, and now I shall drink.
I love it. I love it.
Big 12.
I love it. Round of applause for the Big 12. And I do want to round out today's show by talking a little bit about those freshmen that apparently we cannot trust. And I will keep it simple because we are in overtime right now. So I do want to play this clip. I came across this on social media today. It is, I believe, from Houston Media Day or Big 12 Media Day or whatever is going on right now. But they asked Kelvin Sampson about the development of Chris Sinak Jr. and what he expects from his young freshmen. And this was his answer and a little bit of wisdom on how to really look at these freshmen touted prospects.
They probably have more weaknesses than strengths because they're not playing against 16-year-olds. It's amazing how many of these guys got their reputations and rankings based on kids that were 16 and 17. If you've noticed our roster, we don't have a lot of 16, 17-year-olds. We got a lot of older guys. I don't think CNAC's ever played against a JoJo in high school. I don't care where he's ranked. There ain't no JoJos running around the high school ranks house. Same thing with Kingston, going against Emmanuel. He's never seen a guy like Emmanuel, not in high school. So there's always that transition period where they go from being overwhelmed to being comfortable. And some of their transitions are longer than others. Like for Jamal Shedd, it took forever, because he was hard-headed. But when a kid comes in here hard-headed, it's like the battle between the river and the rock. The river always wins. So I'll let you figure out who the river is.
Kelvin the River Sampson.
Goosebumps, Kevin.
Every time he talks, genuinely, every time he talks, I feel like I opened up like a coaching book and I just like skimmed through to a random chapter and started reading a page. Because Kelvin Sampson, if you don't listen to him often in his pressers, you should, because it's stuff like that all the time. Shout out to Jamal Shedd, who apparently must have been getting badgered consistently during his time at Houston, according to that quote from Kelvin Sampson. But why did I play that quote? Why did I pull that for today's show? Arizona is relying heavily this season on the production of multiple freshmen, multiple people who have not played at this level of college basketball before. You do have guys like Ivan Karchenkov and players who have played overseas and have played at a high level, but it is a different game in the college game. I'm not going to say it's better or worse or higher or lower level, but it's different. It's an adjustment period. Mm-hmm. I wanted to ask you, Damon, how long into the season, it could be first night, it could be first month, it could be second month, it could be even later. How long do you think it's going to take for Koa Pete, Braden Burries, Aristode, Karchenkov to get comfortable, to adjust. We saw Carter Bryant last year. Some might say he never really fully adjusted to the college game. Like, he was always kind of out there playing self-consciously, playing to not make a mistake. Do you anticipate that adjustment comes quicker or about the same for Pete, Burries, and the rest of them?
Yeah, I mean, I think the answer is that, everyone adjusts differently.
Yeah.
So we're probably going to see a culmination of what that looks like versus, it's possible Dwayne Aristode's ready right away, right? Like, that dude's just ready to go. And it's possible
Count it.
that I guess that Koa Pete isn't, and it feels like there's kind of a lot of negativity around Koa Pete right now. I'm going to hold I'm going to hold strong on Koa Pete Mountain is what I was going to say.
I'm holding my Pete stock as well. No, don't do that. I'm not selling my Pete stock. I'm just buying up a ton of Aristode stock.
With what money? Your Koa Pete money.
Actually, I'm redistributing some funds. I have a Karchenkov fund. We took a little bit of the funds from
amounts of money to go around, brother.
This ain't Texas Tech. You're telling me I'm not at Texas Tech right now?
I think you had 100% into Koa Pete, and then you were like, why don't we just maybe, like, I'm not saying I don't believe. I'm just saying, like, what if I just kind of, like, diversify my assets a little bit?
That's exactly what I've
tried to put my hand in a little bit more cookie jars.
Precisely what I've done.
I got my hand in one cookie jar, and it's the Koa Pete cookie jar.
You can't
ready to freaking rock, man.
Like Pigeon, our favorite bird, our favorite flight friend, says, you got to go into debt for an opportunity like Aristode.
You're at Quicken Loans at the I being like, dude, I need like $5,000 stat. I'll pay you back.
In like 19 months, probably. Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm all in on Aristode, but I do think that Koa Pete is also going to be awesome. To your point, like about the Kelvin Sampson quote, I do think that it might take Koa Pete like a little bit to adjust, specifically in like two areas of the game. I think offensively, like with his shot diet, like his actual jumper, I think will take a little bit to follow him to Arizona. I think the physical stuff is going to jump out the screen night one against Florida. I think the rim running stuff is going to jump off the screen night one against Florida. I think I want to walk a line here because you and I were having a conversation pre-show in which I don't agree with Koa Pete's biggest critics, but I do think there's like and you and I talked about this in the offseason about his foul trouble in FIBA U19, right?
Yeah, true.
I think defensively he has all the tools to be incredible. Mm-hmm. Absolutely game-changing incredible. But I do think it'll take a little bit of time with Pete until defensively he's paying back all the investment that people like Damon have put into his defensive side of the ball, because there are pundits who do draft stuff, who cover the sport, that say, I don't like his defense at all. At all. And I don't feel that way. I actually think Koa Pete has all the tools, like I said, to be a very high-level defender. But I do think it will take him a little bit to work into a lather on that end. I think you can, other side of the coin for my favorite player on the team, Dwayne Aristode, right? I think it's going to take him a little bit to get up a lather on offense. Because I think defense, night one, Dwayne Aristode's stopping whoever's in front of him, honestly. So yeah, I do think it will take players with different aspects of their game longer to grow into the game. But I think Arizona has about as game-ready of a group of freshmen as you could have.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that, you look at a guy like Koa Pete, it's most likely going to be that the big defensive plays are loud, Kevin.
Yeah.
Like the defensive plays that look good are probably going to look damn good.
Yeah.
But there might be some lapses, as you're saying. I think personally it's a little bit too early to make those determinations, because I think that, a lot of these people that are making these evaluations are watching him play, at Perry, watching him play for the Compton Magic, watching him play for U19 USA. And what's the common theme of all of those teams, Kevin? Koa Pete's typically not playing against competition that is his caliber. He's typically playing against dudes that he's by far more athletic than constantly. And especially when he's playing public high school basketball. And so because of that, I think that it's hard to be like, oh, he's switching it off on defense when we haven't seen him truly be invested in a basketball game where it's everybody on the court looks like Koa Pete.
Yeah.
And so maybe that looks different. Maybe that kind of locked inness is just looks different in a college setting. So it's something to monitor for sure. And I think that these are no doubt things that we need to talk about, but I don't necessarily know that I'm like sitting here being like, I'm really worried about Koa Pete's defense like some of these other dudes are. Field of 68 put out a graphic, Kevin, and our guys over at No Ceilings. They rank Koa Pete as the 9th best prospect in this draft class. So, I mean, there are still some people that are holding out strong and believing in Koa Pete, with me being, leading the line here, HTL. But yeah, I do think it's interesting, like the idea that like Koa Pete, Braden Burry's like they're not good enough to be on this list, but we're gonna put other freshmen on the list.
We got Tugler on the list.
Yeah, we got Tugler on the list. Thank God. But Braden Burry's, I actually think that he might be the one that is most like, I feel like we know what we're getting. Yeah. Like we're getting a scorer. Yep. Like that dude's gonna score the basketball. He's gonna take a ton of shots. I feel comfortable that like he is gonna be like his floor is pretty high. You know what I mean? Going into this season and I hopefully we can look back on these preseason lists and clown them, Kevin, because the player one was disrespectful.
The player one is insane. Like the overall conference one, not nearly as crazy, but the first team one where you have 10 players and none of them go to Arizona is absolutely nuts. It is also absolutely nuts that you all love this show so much. Thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for chatting with us. Please leave a like on this show as well. Please drop a comment if you're feeling froggy. I know me and Damon really appreciate that. It really goes a long way to help out what we do here on this pod. And Damon, do we have anything else before we go on and get out of here?
No, I think it's going to do it for us today. As Kevin said, we'll be doing a preseason poll trending podcast, so be on the lookout for that. We'll be talking about Arizona and just kind of where they stand versus some of these other teams that were picked ahead of them and just below them. And so, yeah, keep on the lookout on our YouTube page for that one. Turn those notifications on, like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and rate and review on your favorite podcasting platform. Even if you're not listening on your podcasting platform, do so, and it helps us out so much, and vice versa. If you're on the podcast and you just want to maybe help us out a little bit more, head on over to YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like the videos that we do. Helps us out so much. Appreciate everybody for being here. Of course, you can follow Kevin at KevoPost. That's at KEVOPOSTS for all of his scorching hot takes regarding Arizona basketball, and just for him just being fired up. This is like, Kevin is fired up. Basketball is on the horizon, and we got our boy back. We got our sweet, sweet boy back. So everybody go follow Kevin. Follow me at Damon Dog, DAWG, if you want to see a guy pouting after Arizona football games. And, of course, follow us at PHNX_Wildcats on all social media. Appreciate everybody for being here. AZ Cat Dan, Deborah, Indigenous Raptor, everybody up here in the chat. Kevin, Kobe, all the people. Tony,
Max,
Jervis, Max, Pigeon,
our
Sam,
favorite bird.
All my goats. Appreciate everybody for being here. The show would not be possible without you guys. Lost Highway, of course, a staple of this chat, Kevin. We can't forget Lost Highway, who's been here since the beginning. Appreciate everybody so much. And we will be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. on a Friday show previewing Arizona versus Houston. But until then, peace out. Bear down.
And go Cats! Basketball is back, family.
We all silly like the mayor.